Now, listen, you guys, it seems like things are getting serious in the Nicki Minaj camp, okay? This comes after her announcement that, well, a couple of people from her team were out there playing with her money. I am talking about embezzling a couple of thousands of dollars. And some even went further to track her location and to share that location to their own personal cell phones. Now, it is actually becoming a very scary situation, if we're going to be honest. Now, what's interesting is somehow Advo BBL decided to insert herself in this entire mess, and things are now not looking good for her. Because what do you mean you were talking about the embezzlement before Nicki even made it public? We're gonna discuss about that, and we're also gonna be talking about Bongo 2. I am talking about Megan the Stallion. She's out there talking about her mental health, and some people feel like she's using that as a weapon in that Milagro lawsuit. We will also discuss about that. Meanwhile, Advo BBL fans are convinced that, well, BIA not responding to their favorite is because she is just scared. Jay-Z seems to be under fire by NFL, in as far as the Super Bowl is concerned. Hello, tea lovers, and welcome to the tea plug. I trust you guys are doing well, and I trust you are doing great. Personally, I am doing great. You guys, I am doing extremely amazing. And without further ado, let us dive straight into today's tea. So, first of all, let us talk about this entire Nicki Minaj situation. If you didn't watch my first video of today, I did talk about her tweets, as well as her Instagram stories, where she was detailing details about basically how people and how much people were stealing from her American Express card. And, it seems like Tasha K might have the tea on who exactly she is talking about. It is also to note that, well, from Nicki Minaj herself, she made it seem like it's actually up to 4 people who have been messy from her camp. So people were speculating. Some were saying it has to be Tay, and some people were also saying that, well, it is Pedro. Now, in my video that I did, I told you that I really don't think that it is Tay. I don't see him stealing from Nicki Minaj. If anything, if he is involved in this entire scandal, maybe it's about him sharing business. Stealing, I don't see that happening. So it seems like, well, I might have been onto something. Tasha K came with an exclusive, and at this point, I'm like, Tasha, she stays on top of everything. She stays on top of the tea. So she came through, and this is what she had to say about the entire situation. She said Nicki Minaj filed a police report against Deandra Tristan, the stylist, last week for stealing money. Other names are expected to drop soon. We'll keep you updated. And then she put her hashtags. So now people are now finding out that, in fact, the person in question is none other than Deandra, okay? Allegedly, of course. And honestly speaking, this is rather sad because knowing how generous Nicki Minaj is, if they genuinely needed that money, I'm pretty sure that she would have probably assisted them. So for me, stealing from someone is not just about the value of the money, but it's also the principle behind it. So for me, how I look at it is like, do you really think that I'm daft? That I wouldn't realize that, well, somebody's playing with my money, which would be insulting, because if you think that I'm daft, then what are you doing working for me? The other situation is, do you really think that if you've got a pressing issue, I wouldn't help you? The other issue is that, are you just doing it because you're cruel and you don't like it? You don't like me. Maybe you don't even need the money, but you just feel like stealing from me just because you despise me. And to be honest, none of those three options would make me calm down for anything, because what do you mean? You will have to pay the consequence. So I do understand where Nikki is coming from. And being a celebrity that has so many people after you the way that she has, it's infuriating, because what are you doing in my space? I'm giving you access to me just for you to abuse that access. So honestly speaking, is ridiculous at this point. Now, some babs started voicing out their opinions, saying that, well, in fact, each time that this particular stylist was out there styling Nicki Minaj, it almost felt like they were always trying to sabotage her. So, did they genuinely need the job to work with Nicki Minaj, or were they sent some people to to come and sabotage her, which would be sick in the head? Now, People also were quick to realize that, well, there's literally an obsession that flies around in as far as the Wicked Witch from the Pole is concerned. I'm talking about Advo BBL, okay? There's a sort of obsession. There's actually a level of obsession that I find hard to fathom that she seems to have with Nicki Minaj. If you noticed the tone of their arguments when they were going back and forth, Nicki didn't know her tweets to the T. But on the other hand, Advo BBL literally knew every single tweet Nicki has ever made. And now people are beginning to realize that, in fact, Nicki was baiting her. Because you guys remember, there is a part where they were arguing and Nicki went and said, and scene, insinuating that she was probably waiting for the part where she would start talking about exactly what she was talking about. And that's what she probably was waiting for. Now, let's go back to that particular tweet and read what the Wicked Witch from the Pole had to say. She said, quiet as kept, the truth is you've been diagnosed with a couple of, mental health issues for almost 9 years. And you're also on heavy, those words and all of those things that, she mentioned by name. You do not listen to nobody around you. The only person that have the power is Kenneth Petty. But you know what happens with the Amex when you are sedated, okay? And this is her trying to talk about what has been happening with Nicki Minaj in her private life for 9 years. But somehow Nicki is the one who is obsessed. I'm yet to see a part where Nicki started talking about her private lives, her diagnosis. I'm waiting for the part where Nicki said anything about that. You could tell that Nicki was just arguing from a perspective of knowing someone through the internet. But when it comes to her, it seems like she's heavily invested in knowing from people who are close to Nicki Minaj what goes on in Nicki Minaj's, life. So in this tweet, she was insinuating that Kenneth Petty is the one that was stealing from Nicki Minaj. And that's the narrative they were trying to circulate. And Nicki did clarify that the reason why these people are always bringing up my husband, they do feel like he is the reason why we didn't end up working together on a joint album or a joint tour with Advo BBL. So that's why they're always trying to come for him. They feel like, well, without Kenneth, I mean, they can have access to me, and I'll be left with no option but to basically listen to what they say. So they despise that man for that. Hands their go-to insult when it comes to Nicki is Kenneth this, Kenneth that. And if you want to see how insane it is, when you look at the actual facts of the case, they like to call that man a PDF. He was 15, the girl was 16. So technically he was younger than the girl, but they like to peddle this narrative that this man is a PDF, which, when you look at it, really, regardless of what happened, okay, let's say something happened, hypothetically speaking, still that wouldn't be a PDF because technically he was the child, he was the younger one in the situation. So make it make sense. But that being said, that girl also came out and said that at some point admitted that, well, they were kind of cornered into saying that this is what happened with Kenneth. And so they don't want to look at all of that. They just rush to say, oh, he did this, he's a PDF, which doesn't make any sense. But anyway, that being said, they are now trying to push the narrative that Kenneth is stealing from Nicki. So now my question is, this person who allegedly has been stealing from Nicki Minaj, did they need the money, or they were trying to set up Kenneth Petty so that when Nicki misses her money, she will turn around and start blaming her husband so that they can have issues in their marriage and Nicki will be left alone and they will feel like, well, now we can control her? Because you cannot convince me that this person desperately needed that money. And why would they take the 4,000s and all of these silly amounts if they really wanted to swindle Nicki Minaj? I mean, to me, it's giving they were setting the stage to set up Kenneth Petty so that Nicki can look at it and say that, oh, well, you're the one who's stealing my money. And about all these diagnoses that, Advo BBL is coming from, it's giving calculated. And now I'm thinking, who is putting her up to this? Is it Brother Billionaire? And I do hope that if it is Brother Billionaire, he will be out there to defend her. Because one thing I know about that man is that when the ship is about to sink, you will not catch him. He's not sinking with you. He's not like the people that were with Jonah on that ship from that Bible story. He will not. He will jump out of the ship, literally, and find, I don't know, something else to use to get out of the sea. So I don't know, you guys. Let me know in the comment section what you think about that. Now, people started also pointing out that this girl projects a lot. Everything that happens in her life, she turns around and makes it about other people. People were also saying that the Sowiti situation, the whole witchcraft thing, she does that and she's trying to make those allegations stick onto Sowiti, given that she cannot directly come for Sowiti because of her auntie's affiliations, the way that she does with the other girlies. She doesn't play with Sowiti's name. She has never had the guts to mention Sowiti by name because allegedly Sowiti is heavily protected by the aunt. So people were speculating that she is behind those rumors that are flying around about Sowiti doing witchcraft, and which is something that she allegedly does herself. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's the same narrative that she's going with when it comes to this Nicki Minaj situation. Now, Tasha K was like, "You may sue me, but I'm gonna spill the tea without saying your name." This is what Tasha had to say. She said, "Remember, there was only one husband accused of stealing on record thus far. Sources say Offset and his mama stole 10 million plus and more. Child, that's what my sources told me." So these are people basically calling out her projection. Everything that she goes through in her life, she tries to turn around and make it seem like it's about other people, and she will start laughing at those other people as if it's a laughable matter. Okay, if somebody's husband is stealing from them, how is that a laughing matter? Like, this is the part, like the things that she thinks are gags are not. We were literally sympathizing with Wendy Williams because of what her husband was doing, okay? And you think this is a laughing matter. Like, be serious, be for real, okay? When it comes to you, you want us to sympathize with you because of the alleged 10 million, that was stolen from you. But when it comes to other people, you think it's a funny thing. Even if Kenneth Petty was playing with Nicki Minaj's money, how's that a laughing matter? Really? And that coming from someone who allegedly has had the same experience for larger sums of money is crazy to me, because when you look at it, his is way, way, way more money than what Nikki has been ripped off. So to laugh about that is insane, okay? Honestly speaking, I cannot wait to see what lawsuit Nicki Minaj is cooking, because if they were out there concocting a plan to be out there messing with Nicki Minaj's privacy and all of these things, unfortunately for her, she will have more things to worry about than Stephon Diggs moving on like he didn't impregnate her. Imagine having that much on your plate and still being bothered about what Nicki Minaj and her husband are doing. Like, Miem, we saw you looking sad on your birthday. You thought you had a one up on Offset. And instead of worrying about that, you're out there running around the obsession of wanting to know everything that happens with Nicki Minaj, to the point where you brag about collecting tea. I put that in quotes, about a 5-year-old. This is obsession, and I bet people won't call out this behavior for how weird it is. Because how come you know about the embezzlement and now you're putting it on my husband? Do you have the facts? And she thought she was doing something when she was saying, "This is not alleged." Okay, you're gonna have to prove that it was Kenneth Petty who, in fact, was embezzling funds from Nicki Minaj. Now, if that's one of your people, because there are a couple of YouTubers that are being also implicated in this entire situation, that allegedly the guy who's being accused of stealing has been spilling Nicki Minaj's tea to some of these YouTubers, and now people are suspecting that even Advo BBL might have been getting the information from that particular person. Things are going to get interesting, and I cannot wait to see how messy they can become. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Let us talk about BIA and Advo BBL. Now, you guys know that, well, with BIA and Advo BBL, things went really left very quickly, to the point where BIA dedicated an entire district to Advo BBL. And the Wicked Witch from the Pod decided to go online and started threatening Bia with, lawsuits and stuff like that, claiming that Bia was lying, that, well, in fact, she got pregnant for another man whilst being still married to her current husband, which later came out to actually be the truth. So not only was she threatening to go legal in a rap battle, but she was also denying the truth. Bia wasn't lying, apparently. And despite that, she didn't respond to Bia because, well, she had decided to take the legal route to threaten and silence Bia. A year later, when she wanted to sell her album, guess what she did? She started throwing shots at all of the girlies, Bia, Ice Spice, and Jetavia included. Mind you, This was a literal year later. She took a year to respond to what Bia had to say because she was reserving that drama for her album because she wanted to, it to make sense. She wanted it to be, she wanted to have a theme for her album, hence the Stephon drama and everything that was going on. And now I find it weird that, well, Bia is kind of tired because she's like, listen, you had to wait for Patterson Fontaine for an entire year to write back to me. I'm a real rapper. I write my own stuff, and there is no fun in doing that. Now her friends are turning around and saying that, well, the reason why Bia is not responding is because she is scared of Advo BBL. Now, you cannot convince me that there is any other highest level of delusion and coping than this. Like, be for real. Be serious. Because Bia is literally saying, I cannot be in a rap beef that takes somebody a year to respond to something. And you have a ghostwriter on top of that. And people are taking that to mean that Bia is scared of her, scared of the beef? No, she's scared because the bee does not fight fair. She is always out there using other methods behind the scenes, and that's not a fun rap beef to be in, okay? If it's about the pen, Bia said, I'm here for it. If we're gonna sit in a booth and go, verse for verse, bar for bar, I'm willing to do that. But what I'm not gonna do is be in a beef with Patterson Fontaine, which I highly respect. And for all of you who keep feeling like Bia is being scared of being out rapped by Advo BBL, I don't know. I don't even have anything to say to you about that. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. Let us talk about Bongo 2. I am talking about Brother Billionaire's protege, okay? Bongo 2, Megan Thee Stallion. Now, she decided to talk about, her mental health issues recently. And, she was talking about how sad it was for her, the loss of her parents and stuff like that, and how much it took a toll on her mental health. Now, I will say this. She's not my cup of coffee in as far as personality is concerned, because I do feel like she lies in my own opinion. But I will not sit here and dismiss the fact that, well, losing parents may be something that, will end up affecting someone. Losing both parents and now it's just you. That is really sad. And that can really affect someone's mental health, to be honest. And I guess that's the reason why, in as much as I may go in on her, I kind of do feel like the title swindler probably might have, taken advantage of the fact that, well, there's really no opinions to cover her. And I do feel like she was vulnerable to a certain extent. That's why sometimes I don't go that hard on Bongo too, because I feel like she was desperate. And she thought that being associated to a certain record label was going to give her some security, some form of love, and all it did was create drama for her, create problems for her. And she probably didn't realize that they will create some problems for you so that you keep going back to them. It's like joining the okay, where they will hold your secrets on top of your head to say you cannot leave us because we know this about you and we helped you with this. And so I'm not just going to totally dismiss her mental health claims, to be honest. But that being said, do I think that her talking about this situation specifically in this moment is blatantly from, just from Norway, just innocent? I don't think so. I feel like it could have strategically been put out there now that there is an entire lawsuit, that is going on between herself and Milagro. I do feel like, to a certain extent, the mental health stuff is now being used strategically to then paint a narrative to say, oh my God, I was so traumatized when Milagro called me a liar because already had lost my parents. I can see that happening, to be honest. Remember, this is the girl that said her hoo-ha was depressed. Like, what does that even mean? What do you mean your hoo-ha is depressed? You can't just say, like, this is the part where I'm like, in as much as I may sympathize with what you're saying, but some of the way you say things and some of, the things you do and how you carry yourself and present serious issues as like mental health issues, like why would you say your hoo-ha is depressed? Is it crying? Like, what are you doing? Like, if mental health is that serious, why can't you just say that I'm depressed? Why do you have to say that your hua is depressed? Why are you trying to sensationalize mental health struggles? Like, that's weird to me. Anyway, let's move on to the next thing that we're going to be talking about. In fact, you know what? Let's talk about that in my next video. I don't think that, okay, there's nothing I'm inserting. So that being said, thank you very much, you guys, for watching, and thank you very much for making it this far. If you have not already, what are you waiting for? Smash that subscribe button and do turn on the notification. Oh my God, this alarm, this reminder really literally interrupted my track. It was a supplement taking reminder. Until my next one, see you. Guys, just as I was editing this video, I saw something really ridiculous. It seems like the publications have started again playing on Nicki Minaj's name, because tell me why they're out there trying to insinuate that Nicki Minaj is about to lose her home, and all because of a 500K debt, a $20 million dollar home being lost over a 500K debt. Does that not sound ridiculous to you? To me, it does feel like, well, they saw that Nicki is about to start suing and talking, and now they want to make it seem like, well, Nicki is just, measuring on the minor, funds that have been stolen from her, because she doesn't want it to be discussed that she's on the verge of losing her home. That is the narrative they want people to go with. And I can guarantee you that by tomorrow, you will hear that, well, a lot of these publications, a lot of these platforms, I promise you that the Breakfast Club tomorrow is going to be discussing about, and they will act about this, and they will act like they don't know that this, title is misleading. They will act like, oh my God, I hope she pays, she pays up. Guys, the drama that you're about to see really is going to be ridiculous. But one thing people fail to realize is the fact that when it comes to Nicki Minaj, really, God is by her side. You all can tarnish a name, you all can do all of these things, but at the end of the day, after all has been said and done, it is all up to Jehovah to know what, he's going to do for his child. Because, you cannot make this ish up.